Do you want to start your own lawn care business but just don't know how? If you're a regular on UpFlip, you might know Nic Reed. He started his own lawn care business from scratch, and we've documented his entire journey back in January of this year. Today we're doing a follow-up with Nic Reed to see how his business has been growing. He started his business at the age of 21. We'll also see if he's close to his goal of $160,000 a year for revenue. Mike Andes, the owner of Augusta Lawn Care, took Nic Reed under his wing and helped him start his lawn care business from scratch.
How many leads actually convert to clients? It's around 60 to 70%.
What's your take home right now? In other words, what do you pay yourself at the end of the month as a franchisee owner?
It's not cutting into the margin. If anything, it's increasing it.
In this video, Nic's going to share with you guys what struggles he faced when he opened his business, how you too can start your own business, and how choosing Mike as a mentor helped propel his business.
That's by far been the highest rate of returns.
In terms of your revenue, how much of it is from recurring lawn care maintenance versus landscaping jobs? All right, without further ado, you guys, like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell so that you don't miss any of our amazing videos, and let's go give you a full update on how Nic's doing. I can see he's picking up leaf by leaf. Now that's attention to detail. Nic, good morning.
Oh, hey, Paul. How's it going?
Good.
It's good to see you.
Want to do this?
Yeah.
All right, Nic, for those that haven't seen your first two episodes with us, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and how you got started in the lawn care business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got started with Augusta Lawn Care in 2019. I started working with Mike when we had one location, and now we're up to 60 across country. And then before that, I'd always done lawn care and landscaping just for like neighbors around the neighborhood, and you know, making cash under the table. And yeah, this is my first year in business. This is our third follow-up video.
Yep.
And yeah, it's November.
All right, Nic, talk to us about how your business has grown since we last spoke with you, and have you been able to meet your $160,000 a year mark?
Yeah. So we actually hit $160,000 back in August, I think.
Man, not even the end of the year.
Yeah, it's gone really great. You know, we had a hiccup in the spring. You know, I was having a hard time hiring people, and I was actually working every day of the week, you know, 7 days a week, and I did that for over almost 3 months.
Wow.
And just doing work out in the field, and I just got so burnt out, and I started to slow down and actually was less effective.
Just because you were doing everything by yourself, no employees, right?
Yep. And I thought I could make up for the lack of help, but it's not the case at all. You know, working each day of the weekend, that's 8 extra days a month, and it was just wearing me down physically and mentally, and it just didn't make a difference in the bottom line. The work I was doing was a lot slower than if I was well rested. So
you had some either possibly project management issues, or was it mainly employee issues? And how did you get that resolved, Nic?
Yeah, it was definitely employee issues, just not being able to get the right people on board. Mm-hmm. I waited longer than I should have, and I wasn't as aggressive about hiring because it was my first employee. I didn't have experience in it before, and I didn't realize how the labor market was. I didn't know any of that, so that was a hiccup. And yeah, the projects have been fine, but just that lack of being able to hire someone at first was really detrimental.
Nic, in terms of margins, when you hire your first employee, how does that impact margins? Have you looked at the numbers? Yeah.
So, you know, obviously it's going to take somewhat of a hit, right? Because I'm going to have more expenses related to having an employee. It's like I'm going to have more taxes to pay, and then I'm going to have equipment that's going to go into, you know, a truck, all the equipment, so like 20 grand right there. And then, you know, just the consistent costs where it's fuel, you know, trimmer line, just stuff that he needs to do his work every day. But it's not so much of an expense as it is an asset, because the amount of money that he's generating for the business outweighs all of the expenses that might be associated with having him.
So if you're operating under 30-40% margins, would you say that it cuts in 5-10%, or you just don't know the details or that specific?
We're operating at 27% right now.
27, okay.
And it's not cutting into the margin. If anything, it's increasing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're running really lean this year.
In terms of your revenue for 2021, how much of it is from recurring lawn care maintenance versus landscaping jobs and projects?
Yeah, I would say, you know, probably about 40% of it is from recurring. Okay. So basically every week I'm sending Matt out, and we have around 50 clients that he does every week. He handles all the recurring stuff, and then I'm just doing projects because they're typically higher margin. I have more experience, and I can get those done really quickly and just stack cash using those. Although our main focus will be on recurring.
Okay.
Just right now, while I'm still out in the field in the business, I'm able to devote some of my time towards doing these projects that I can make a lot more money on easily.
Okay, and how many recurring clients do you have for lawn care maintenance right now?
Right around 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they weekly or are they bi-weekly? Or does that change?
Some weekly, some bi-weekly. Yep.
Okay.
They're weekly in the spring, and then people switch at different times to weekly and bi-weekly, just depending on if there's like tons of leaves, if the grass is growing a lot.
I'm just curious how fast that grown. Like you got first client and then a month later you had 20, or was it 10?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
So March, it was pretty steady. I think that's when we did the last video. Pretty steady, you know, I was getting a couple clients. We were starting to ramp up, I could see it. But then once we hit April, it was just like through the moon. And I was, you know, like 5 or 6 estimates mowing a day. And, you know, a lot of those clients I didn't get, we didn't have the infrastructure to handle it. April, May, June, July, August, basically the really busy months.
Okay.
And then September, we noticed a bit of a slowdown. October, a bit of a slowdown. And then just starting in the last week of October and November here, we're starting to ramp up.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Where are you at now in terms of the amount of time you work per week, per month? How does that compare to before?
Yep, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturday there's always like a couple hours worth of work, but I'm really strict about cutting it off now because it affected me in such a negative way before working on the weekends, and it was making me less effective each following week, which is crazy because I'm the kind of person that wants to like go, go, go.
Right.
Yeah, I had to take a step back and realize that it was actually making things worse for me.
You must have done something to change that. So what is that?
Yeah, so something that I think is going to be really important for everyone out there. I'll share that later in the video.
As a hack. Okay, let's do it. Keep watching. What's your take home right now? In other words, what do you pay yourself at the end of the month as a franchisee owner?
Yeah, so I basically just set a salary for myself because in the beginning I wasn't paying myself because all that money was going back into growth.
Okay.
But my salary for this year, it's only $30,000. It's pretty low. Obviously in the future it'll be higher. The goal is to put as much money as I can back into growth. And my original plan was to have $50,000 left to put back into the business.
Nice, okay.
And we're actually exceeding that goal, so we're gonna have even more. So somehow ending up better than we pictured, so.
That's always good.
Yeah.
What about your work-life balance? What do you do to just take time off as a franchisee owner and reset for the next week?
Yeah, you know, on the weekends, sometimes I like to be physically active, and that's kind of a way that I, you know, kind of decompress. I can maybe sit still for a couple hours, and then I have to get up and go do something. So I go hikes with my girlfriend on the weekends.
Nice. You're in the right area for hiking, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, we don't spend a lot on anything. You know, I like to picture life happening in seasons, and right now I'm in a season of work, right?
That's awesome. That's a simple life tip, I would say, that can go a long way.
Yeah, and it's a season, right?
Right?
You know, in the future, I'm sure that I'll be able to expand my social life. And, you know, it's like right now I don't have any friends, and that's kind of how it goes. If you're a business owner out there, you know how it goes.
Yes.
And I'm just in a season of work, and that's where my focus is.
And let me encourage you by saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
So that's always true. You guys, check out our podcasts. We talk to people like Nick, other successful business owners, and dive into more details, more questions. You tell us by commenting what things we should ask. Check it out, upflip.com/podcast. So Nick, you've worked with Mike at Augusta Lawn Care for almost 2 years before you became your own franchisee owner. Mm-hmm. How has that experience helped you grow your business? And do you think it's necessary to have on-the-ground experience to get into this industry?
Yeah, I see it as a massive advantage just on the technical aspect. You know, the cultural things were great. That's not really my main focus right now. And then just learning the systems and how we do things and why, that was really helpful. But the technical aspect is probably the most important because right now, as a business owner, you know, I'm supposed to be transitioning into the visionary, not the technician. But right now it's really helpful because every day I am still out in the field and I'm having to do the work. So I have all of this added stress of all the business stuff that I've never dealt with before that I now have to do every single day. And if I didn't have the technical experience as well, that would be another layer of complexity. So I think it's a huge advantage that I just know how to do all the work, and then the business stuff comes second.
So it almost makes sense to be patient, get under the wing of somebody else.
Absolutely.
Learn, and at the right point, do what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's the flip side of that, right? There's
Right.
an argument against being a technician going into the leader position because you're going to always want to jump in and fix everything. Whereas, let's say you have no experience in the lawn care industry and you buy a company or you start a company and you're forced to delegate right off the bat. So you're not going to be mowing lawns, you're not going to be doing cleanups and stuff, and it's going to require more capital investment up front. But you're not ever going to have to jump in. Your focus is going to be on the higher revenue producing activities right off the bat.
Nick, one of our viewers asked before why you as a franchisee have to spend money on marketing. Doesn't corporate level take care of some of that? Walk us through the marketing setup when you're a franchisee.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike, he's doing a lot of testing with the marketing consistently with the Bellingham location. And there's so many reasons why they can't pay for it on a mass level. For one, their market is completely separate from everybody else's. So, what $10 is to me here might be $20 to them there. It's just different, right?
Okay.
So, and different sizes of businesses. So if there's a franchisee that's over the $1 million mark and they're spending $50,000 a year in marketing, and I'm over here and I'm spending less than $10,000 a year in marketing, it wouldn't make sense for the franchisor to pay for that. It's just not scalable, right?
Okay.
If we have 60 locations, all of them are in a completely unique scenario, you would have to hire someone full-time just to manage every individual's marketing. So they provide support, they provide templates, stuff that they test on different platforms, different visuals and text, and they supply us with that. But then it's up to us to test those in our market. We use our money for that because it's just not scalable otherwise.
So the franchisor does not pitch in for your local advertising in any way,
Not
right?
financially, no.
Not
but
financially, okay.
in a sense financially, because they're spending, Mike's spending his money to test the marketing in their market and just to know if it works. And then if it works, they'll give us the resources, but every different person's gonna have a different budget for their market.
Okay. Walk us through the evolution real quick. You started with one truck. When did you buy the second, third, time-wise, in the gap between the two?
Yeah. So I started with one truck in January. We didn't do our first project until February. So from February until June, I was solo. And then I hired Matt. He's working down there. Absolutely amazing. I couldn't be where I am now without him. And he's the only reason that the business has gotten to where it is. Because I cap out at I can only make the business like 15 grand a month, right? One person. Any employee should be able to make 12 to 15 a month. But back to the truck thing. Got the second truck in June when he started.
Okay.
I trained him up in a couple weeks, super fast learner. He just knows what to do and it's amazing. So I sent him out, he takes care of all the recurring maintenance. And then I had my truck and I would go do estimates and property cleanups. And we've been doing that this entire year. And then just last month, I bought the third truck.
Gotcha.
Which we won't use until next year.
Awesome. Nick, last time we spoke, you mentioned Nextdoor as a marketing platform. Do you still use them? And what are the best marketing platforms that you're using now?
Yeah, so, in the spring, I was experimenting with a lot of stuff. I was using Facebook, Nextdoor, YouTube, Google Pay-Per-Click, and Google Local Services.
Wow, all that.
So, 5 different avenues. And, I was just trying to figure out which one had the highest rate of return for me. And by far, that's been Google Local Services. My market, it's a lot of young millennial people. And basically, they see something that needs to be done outside. Where's the first place we go to? It's Google. So, local services, basically, you show up right at the top and it says Google guaranteed. You go through the verification process and that's by far been the highest rate of return. So I only use those things for, maybe less than a month in the spring.
So no Nextdoor, just Google Screen at this point, or local services?
Yeah, I would say 95, if not more, % of my revenue has come from local service ads.
Year to date or last month, for example, what did you spend? What's your ad spent on Google's local services?
It's right around 500.
$500, okay.
Yeah, it's consistently been around 500 per month.
What would you say your retention rate on the 500 is, or how many customers would you get?
Yeah, so the close ratio, how many leads actually convert to clients? It's around 60 to 70%.
Wow.
Which is good. Where it needs to be. So
that is good. You're franchised with Augusta Lawn Care Services. What are the advantages for starting your own firm versus franchising? And as a starting out entrepreneur, what are the pros and cons?
Yeah, so, I always describe it like an insurance policy, and it makes me feel good knowing that I have a support system. We have a network of over 60 franchisees, and I can always reach out to them, or I can reach out to Mike. There's always support on things that I haven't done before. There's marketing support. Mike's always testing marketing on the back end, and he's always innovating stuff on the back end software. And there's just so many advantages, stuff that I can't do day to day. It's like I need to focus on getting the work done and dealing with the clients, and they handle all that. And not to mention Command Center, they take all of our phone calls. We can do full service. They can schedule. They can do basically anything you need them to.
Yep. Okay. So as they improve, does that improve your business as well?
Absolutely.
Directly.
Yeah. The more infrastructure that they build out, which as we grow franchisees, obviously they're going to do more of, they'll be able to handle the call volume, and it's going to prevent me from having to stop what I'm doing every day, talk on the phone, jump on the computer when I'm out and about, and it's really difficult. So it is really nice, if there's customer complaints, Command Center will take it, they'll route it to me, and then I can decide what needs to be done with it.
Okay. Nic, talk to us about the process that you went through for hiring Matt and what you learned, what platforms you used, and overall.
Yeah, so basically, I was using Craigslist, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, just like all the online job posting platforms. You set a budget, and then, it displays your job. Candidates can click on it and they can apply. And Matt, he was pretty late. It was right as I was about to run out of money on ads, actually, and I was just getting no results.
Interesting.
And so, I called him, and he was like, hey, I'm interested in the job. And I was like, okay, cool. This was like when I was really disgruntled and feeling like giving up. Yeah, so I was like, why don't you come in for a working interview? And I think the working interview is really important because it's like, hey, let's just do a day. I'll pay you in cash, and we'll just see how you work, how you respond to instruction, and then me get to know them as a person, and decide whether, they're a good person for the team.
That's it?
Yep.
Talk to us what you do during the slow season of this business to continue growth and increase revenue.
Yeah, well, if you guys look at Mike's channel, he put a video out last week, I believe, and it was basically talking about how not to become complacent in the winter when it could become really easy. The leads aren't coming to you. You have to be more active in going and searching for them. So you can do a lot of door-to-door and, contacting your existing clients saying, hey, there's this thing that you were thinking about doing. We can give you a discount and we can get that on the schedule, because some work is better than no work, right? That's like when it's okay to give discounts. But, in that video, he talks about, for us, December, January, February, super slow with most seasonal businesses, not even just lawn care. 3 months, that's 25% of the year.
Yeah.
25% of your bottom line is affected by those 3 months. So, if you can be active, if you can be going door to door and like aggressively trying to sell jobs, and if you can make stuff happen without dumping money into marketing because it becomes really expensive, you're going to end out on top. You have 3 months to make stuff happen, and most people take those 3 months off, or they just don't put effort into it.
Besides cost of franchises, are there any cons you would say for doing that? With what you know now and the experience you have, obviously.
Yeah, not at all, right? It's an expense for sure, but the value like 10 times outweighs the actual expense. And it's a no-brainer, honestly. I don't have enough mental bandwidth and time to be able to do all this stuff on my own. So sacrificing a little bit of cost, which that's how businesses operate, right? It's like 75% of every dollar is going towards expenses, 25% goes in your pocket. So you need to be able to invest in the infrastructure in order for me to do everything I do every day.
Awesome. Nic, what's the biggest challenge for you as a business owner currently?
Biggest challenge is going to be hiring people. So it's not so much of a personal challenge as it is just a challenge for the business. It's just getting the right people on board and people I can trust so that I can delegate stuff and actually grow.
Seems like always that's the challenge, isn't it?
Always, yeah. It's the age-old question, right, with business owners. Yep.
Besides that, what's giving you the most headache right now, too? Can you think of anything?
Leaves.
Leaves?
Yeah. We're super busy with leaf cleanups, and then kind of blurred lines with clients. Trying to manage people's expectations. When we're mowing, they seem to think that we need to come through and clean all the leaves off the sidewalks, all the garden beds, the driveway, and with our regular mowing service, and we just can't logistically do that.
That's not part of the service?
No. We can definitely add it on as a separate cleanup, but when we're filling a day with budgeted hours, Matt's typically mowing from first thing in the morning until it gets dark. It gets dark really early now.
Yeah.
And we just don't physically have enough time to be able to do that on a weekly basis. But we can come through and schedule those one-time cleanups. But that's the biggest pain point right now. It's just managing client expectations.
Oh, so I was going to say, yeah, so it sounds like it's an expectation issue. So how do you overcome that challenge? Is it first meeting, second meeting, just to follow up and say, hey, it's not included? What can you add to that?
Yep. It's basically just communicating. And, they have a question just because they want the leaves gone and they want a solution. So instead of me saying, we don't do that with our mowing service, I'll say, we don't do that with our mowing service, but, we can add a separate cleanup and here's why. And as long as you explain to people why, they're completely okay. People just don't want to be left in the dark and they don't want to feel like they're being taken advantage of.
One of your fellow lawn care business owners, Wolf Jackson, commented on your last video that he's struggling with managing projects because, the employees aren't reliable. Some people don't show up, lots of stress. What advice would you give to Wolf to manage that project, manage the staff, and just reduce the stress overall?
Yeah, that's the age-old question, right? It's a business owner always looks at the employees and says, you need to work harder. And it's just never going to happen, right? No one's ever going to work as hard as you as a business owner. I think it starts with hiring. And I don't have this figured out, but I know what I need to do going into next year. And I need to spend a lot more time actively recruiting. So from a hiring standpoint, if I'm just spending $10 a day on like Craigslist or Nextdoor, ZipRecruiter, stuff like that, you're hiring out of a pool of people who have either not been employed or quit their jobs or been fired, right? All the good people already have jobs. So we need to spend time actively going out, searching for these people, hire for attitude, and then train them on the systems. But that's my goal going into next year. It's basically just trying to actively recruit people, not rely on these platforms to supply me good people, because it doesn't always happen that way.
How would you actively recruit, though? Where would you go? What tools would you use?
Yep. So everywhere I go, I'm actively recruiting. I actually just interviewed someone a couple weeks ago who was at the local Home Depot. Basically, anyone in a customer service position, anyone that I deal with on a regular basis, if I see them going above and beyond, they're making conversation with me, they seem like they have a good head on their shoulders.
Nice.
I want to bring them into our culture and give them a promise to be able to, become a manager, an estimator, be able to own their own franchise, manage a location, and, incentivize them with performance pay. Because if you're offering someone a dollar amount per hour, they're not going to be very motivated.
That's competitive.
Yeah, there's nothing going to be pushing them to attain more. Whereas performance pay, there's no cap. So basically, you can make as much as you feel like, as much hard work that you want to put in.
Nice. Well, Wolf, I hope that's helpful to you. Do you still do the monthly coaching calls with Mike? And what's the single most important value that he's provided to you, or advice up to this point?
Yeah, well, Mike's given me lots of advice.
I bet.
So it's hard to point out one specific thing, but Mike is really good at reminding me of things that I already know. But he just confirms my suspicion or just shows me what I already knew, but I wasn't thinking of in the moment. I know it's kind of vague, but that's definitely like my biggest takeaway from the coaching calls. Nowadays, Mike, he's putting a lot more effort into Command Center and growing their infrastructure there. So he's actually stepping away from the coaching call role. But I get to talk to Lee, he was office manager when I worked, and we actually worked in the field together. He moved up at the Bellingham location, but he's the one that does my coaching calls now, and we've had a couple, and he's a great resource. Do
you value that resource? Is it important to continue that?
It is
ongoing?
Great. Yeah. So as a franchisee, we get 30 minutes a month to be able to talk. And it's really nice because as a business owner, a lot of times it's pretty lonely, and a lot of times people don't understand like what you're going through. And you're just day to day just doing the grind, and you can't talk about it with a lot of people. But it is nice. I take advantage of that every month just to have that and just like touch base and just say, hey, this is where I'm at, and just bounce thoughts off of them. If I'm not directly struggling with something, I'll just use that time just to talk to someone that's associated with Augusta, and it kind of regrounds me in the vision and the goal of changing the level of professionalism in the entire industry.
All right, Blitz questions with Nic. Nic, what's your favorite business book?
Favorite business book? It's more in the realm of leadership, but it applies completely to business. It's Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink.
Nice. Okay. What is the single most important factor for expanding any business?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Sales and marketing, and you need to have someone that's dedicated to that.
What's one fact that changed your perspective on life forever?
That tomatoes are fruit.
Tomatoes are fruit. Okay. What's your favorite unnecessary device or thing?
I'm a very minimal person, so I don't have anything unnecessary.
Okay. What's the one thing you cannot start your day without? Exception, coffee.
Smoothie.
Smoothie.
I have a smoothie every day.
Love it. These are fan Blitz questions. Thank you, Garrett Stevenson. 3 questions from Garrett. One of the most important questions for anyone, at least in the U.S., is how to deal with labor shortages and how to deal with out-of-control labor rates. He says $250 per day per guy is average in the California Bay Area. So how do you deal with that?
So basically selling people on the vision. Millennials nowadays, it's not like how it was back in the old days where it was basically you get a stable job and you work your entire life, whether you're happy or not, and then you retire.
Okay.
Millennials are really driven by being a part of a cause, and they want to feel like they're actively contributing to something. So, if you as the owner are passionate and you have a compelled vision and you're trying to achieve something as a team, people are going to buy into that.
Cool. Garrett Stevenson also asks, how does one land more commercial accounts, commercial property, management clients, etc.?
Yeah, that's not really in my realm.
Okay.
But, if I had to guess from an outside perspective, it would be just to make connections with people. People in that space, property management people. This project that we're actually doing, it's not commercial, but it's I have a client who's a property manager, and she lets her clients know about me, and then her clients come, client is renting out this house. She connects me, and then we come over and do the cleanup for them. So it's not really commercial, but it does work. Relationships is probably going to be the biggest thing in that department.
As always, this is from Garrett as well. How do you properly bid each account? Like a flat minimum charge by hour per guy, or just a feeling, quote unquote, or do you cater each job based upon each budget?
Yeah, so basically, we have a labor rate. We have a separate labor rate for projects and mowing. And then, basically I'll look at the square footage, I'll look at the access, if it's on a hill, I'll take all these things into account, and then I'll bid accordingly to that. So it's basically, it's per job. Every job is unique, and it does cause me to have to, look at every property, see it, and then be able to sit down and just think about myself doing it, and then come up with a price.
Let's go back to what we talked earlier in the video. And you guys, this is the hack that we mentioned earlier where you got to a point when you burned out. What did you do to change that and improve your life, your business, everything else?
Yeah, so, that was the time period where I was working 7 days a week, and I did that for almost 3 months. And I basically I hit a wall. I was being really slow at the work that I was doing. So it would have made more sense for me which is what I do now. I work 5 days a week and, work, and then maybe a couple hours on Saturday tying up some loose ends. And then I take the whole weekend off. I go hiking, I just decompress. I don't think about work. I don't look at my email. I don't do anything work related. And then I come back the next week being fully recharged. So basically my hack is to know your limit, because everyone has a different limit, right? I used to think that I could work endlessly and just go, and let's make a difference. And it becomes really ineffective. You become less happy. I wasn't enjoying the work as much. And
interesting.
Yeah, it was just drained emotionally and physically. But it takes hitting that limit to be able to find what that limit is for you. Everyone has a different limit. Someone else, it could be working 2 weeks straight and they might hit the wall. Someone, it could be working 6 months straight or a year straight. And then a year in and they're like hair's falling out and they're just like, man, this is ridiculous. But you got to identify that limit.
Nic, what are you doing now to grow more in the future, and what's next for your franchise moving into 2022 and 23?
Yeah, we're investing more in infrastructure. I just bought another truck. We're going to do another trailerless setup. So it's push mower and then all the equipment, the racks. So that's around a $25,000 investment.
Wow. Okay.
So that's going into next year. So we'll have 3 trucks total. And then next year, I'm anticipating hiring 2 starting out in the spring. I'll actually hire more just because I know that someone's not going to work out, right? And our revenue goal is $500,000.
Wow.
So this year we're finishing out at $200,000 gross.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's going great. We beat this year's projections, so that's really nice. And yeah, as long as I can get the right people on board, that's going to make all the difference going into next year.
Awesome.
One more hack too that I was kind of thinking of is to keep it simple. I already know just in starting the business this first year, we took on a couple clients that were, beyond our original scope of not work, but service area. And so, we would spend half an hour driving to these clients just to do them and then they were budgeted wrong. So we were over budget on them and the drive time, and we were just losing massive amounts of time and money that we could have replaced with a bunch of smaller clients in our service area. Knowing your service area, keeping a tight, dense area if you're doing mowing and recurring services, staying in that area, not deviating from it, because it's really easy when you're starting out. You want to gain momentum.
Okay.
And you want to take these clients, you're like, yeah, I can handle it. But then when you have an employee, they're on performance pay, and you're seeing that affect their numbers, then it falls on your shoulder. You need to take ownership over it. And I actually ended up letting those clients go. But keep it simple, keep your service area really tight. Route density is way more important than taking on more clients. Keep the work simple. Like if you enjoy the big equipment, you want to do really complex custom work, that's completely fine. But while you're starting out, you need to keep it simple, because you need to be able to stack cash, stay super lean, and then you can invest in that stuff as you get bigger over time.
Nic, what's the single biggest mistake you've made in the business so far, and how did you recover?
Yeah, so luckily I haven't ran into anything detrimental. You know, I haven't gotten in over my head on any projects. Nothing really bad has happened. Okay, what's the secret to that sauce, I guess? Yeah, so, you know, I listen to people who have been there and done that, and that involves possessing humility, you know, and being able to just realize, like, you know, these people have done exactly what I'm doing right now, and they failed, and then they shared their story. You know, Mike, he shares his story really publicly about stuff that he went through growing his business, you know, people in audiobooks, and they just talk about all of this stuff that you need to avoid or be aware of. And if I can proactively listen to that, I'm like, I would have never have thought about that happening until I listened to this book. So that has helped me avoid a lot of the mistakes that most people that don't invest in learning, they make those mistakes and learn the hard way from the mistakes. So yeah, just being proactive and either getting a mentor or you know, just listening to plenty of books.
That's really cool. Incredible advice, Nic. Thank you. It's been a good pleasure giving your update to our audience, and look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely.
Hope you guys enjoyed this follow-up with Nic Reed. What an incredible growth story with more to come. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell. We appreciate you guys' support. And don't forget to comment. We read all the comments. Tell us who you want us to interview, the questions to ask, and we're here for you.